In 1870, a 31-year-old bookkeeper in Cleveland controlled 4% of America's oil. By 1880, 90%. By 1904, 91% of all oil production, 85% of final sales. His name was John D. Rockefeller. And here's what nobody tells you. When the government broke up his monopoly in 1911, he didn't lose money. He tripled his wealth. Because Rockefeller didn't just build an oil company. He built something far more dangerous. He built the system. And in 2025, that system controls everything you touch. The gas you pump, Rockefeller's descendants. The drugs you take, his medical system. The platforms you scroll, his corporate structure. The banks you use, his holding company model. Amazon, Google, Pfizer, JP Morgan, they all studied the same blueprint, the Rockefeller blueprint. And by the end of this video, you'll see it everywhere. Because once you understand the system, you cannot unsee it. The Con Man's Son. July 8, 1839, Richford, New York. John Davison Rockefeller is born to a con man who sold fake cancer cures and a devout Baptist mother who believed in divine purpose. This combination, the con man's ruthlessness and the Baptist's moral certainty, created something terrifying. A man who would destroy you without mercy while believing God had chosen him to do it. This wasn't hypocrisy, this was genuine conviction. Rockefeller believed his monopoly was moral because it brought order to chaos. Remember that, it's important. The oil rush. Oil discovered in Titusville, Pennsylvania. Chaos erupts. Thousands flood in to drill. Fortunes made and lost overnight. Boom, bust. Boom, bust. Overproduction collapses prices, then shortages spike them. Rockefeller is 20 years old, working as a bookkeeper in Cleveland, and he sees something everyone else misses. Drilling is gambling. Refining is business. He doesn't want to find oil. He wants to control what happens to it after it's found. 1863, he invests $4,000 in his first refinery. Within 2 years, it's the largest in Cleveland. But Cleveland has 30 refineries. Competition is brutal. Margins are razor thin. Most refineries operate at the edge of bankruptcy. And this is where Rockefeller's genius, his dangerous genius, emerges. He doesn't try to compete. He tries to eliminate competition entirely. And he invents 4 tactics to do it. 4 tactics that would become the foundation of every monopoly for the next 150 years.
Tactic number 1, vertical integration. Here's how it worked. Most refineries just refined oil. They bought crude from drillers, refined it, and sold kerosene to distributors. They controlled one step. Rockefeller asked a different question. What if I controlled all the steps? He bought the barrel-making factories. Now he doesn't pay for barrels. He bought tank cars and railroads. Now he doesn't pay for shipping. He bought warehouses. Now he doesn't pay for storage. He bought distribution networks. Now he sells directly to consumers. Every step that used to generate profit for someone else, Rockefeller brought it in-house. The numbers were devastating. Competitors paid 25 cents per barrel to barrel makers. Rockefeller made his own for 15 cents. Competitors paid railroads to ship oil. Rockefeller owned the tank cars and negotiated secret rebates. The railroads paid him to ship his oil and charged his competitors more. This wasn't just efficient, this was predatory. Rockefeller could sell kerosene below cost and still make profit. His competitors? They lost money on every sale. Modern example? Amazon. Started selling books, now owns the warehouses, fulfillment centers, the logistics, delivery network, the payment processing, Amazon Pay, the cloud infrastructure their competitors' websites run on, AWS. AWS alone generates $90 billion annually, more than Amazon's retail profit. Same playbook, different century. Tactic number 2, horizontal integration. By 1870, Rockefeller creates Standard Oil Company of Ohio. He controls 4% of American refining. Not enough. He launches the Cleveland Massacre. Over 3 months in 1872, Rockefeller approaches every refinery owner in Cleveland. The pitch is simple. I'll buy your refinery at fair market value. I might even hire you as a manager. And if you refuse, I'll drop the price of kerosene below cost. You'll lose money on every sale. You'll go bankrupt. Then I'll buy your refinery from the ruins for pennies. So, do we have a deal? 25 of Cleveland's 26 refineries sold to Rockefeller. 3 months, 4% to 25% of American refining capacity. The blueprint was set. Offer to buy. If they refuse, destroy them economically, buy the ruins. This method would be used in every industry by every monopoly for the next 150 years. Modern example? Amazon again. Can't buy a competitor? Here's what they do. Third-party sellers report sales data. Amazon analyzes that data, identifies successful products, creates Amazon Basics versions, promotes them above the original, and undercuts them on price. Legal, barely regulated, devastatingly effective. The modern version of Rockefeller's price war. Tactic number 3, the trust, the structure that changed everything. By 1879, Standard Oil controls 90% of American refining. 90%. But Rockefeller has 2 problems. Problem number 1, monopolies are illegal. The Sherman Antitrust Act passes in 1890 specifically to break up companies like Standard Oil. Problem number 2, the public hates him. He's called a robber baron, a ruthless tyrant, the most hated man in America. He needs a solution to both. 1882. His lawyers invent something new, the Standard Oil Trust. Here's the genius. Standard Oil of Ohio couldn't legally own companies in other states, but a trust could. Rockefeller creates a trust that holds the stock of all Standard Oil companies, 41 shareholders, all Rockefeller and his inner circle. The trust controls the companies. This was the first major corporate trust in American history. Sugar Trust, Tobacco Trust, Steel Trust all copied this structure. But more importantly, the trust created a new legal entity, a company that doesn't produce anything. It just owns other companies. The holding company. This structure would evolve into the modern corporation. Berkshire Hathaway, Alphabet, Google's parent company, Meta, Facebook's parent company, Amazon. They're all descendants of Rockefeller's trust. Modern example, Google restructures as Alphabet in 2015. One parent company controlling Google, Search, YouTube, Video, Waymo, self-driving cars, DeepMind, AI, and Verily, healthcare. Why? The same reasons Rockefeller invented the trust. Shields the parent from liability, allows tax optimization across jurisdictions, makes regulatory breakup nearly impossible. Which entity do you break up? It's the Standard Oil Trust, just with better branding. Tactic number 4, regulatory capture. Rockefeller understood something crucial. If you can't beat the regulators, become the regulators. He didn't just compete in markets, he shaped the rules. He lobbied for railroad regulations that favored Standard Oil. He worked with politicians to set quality standards for kerosene, standards his refineries could meet, but competitors couldn't. He funded research at universities that supported his business model. Modern example, pharmaceutical companies. They fund the FDA through user fees, over $3 billion annually. They employ former FDA officials as consultants. They lobby for patent extensions. They literally write the regulations they're supposedly regulated by. Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, Merck, they all learned from Rockefeller. Control the regulators and you control the market.
By 1904, Standard Oil controls 91% of oil refining, 85% of final sales. Rockefeller is worth $900 million, $25 billion today. At his peak in 1913, $400 billion in today's dollars. Richer than Bezos, Musk, and Gates. Combined, the richest individual in modern history. But the public is turning. 1906. Investigative journalist Ida Tarbell publishes The History of the Standard Oil Company. She exposes everything: secret railroad rebates, predatory pricing, crushed competitors. The outcry is enormous. 1911. The Supreme Court orders Standard Oil broken up into 34 separate companies. This should have been the end, the destruction of the monopoly. But here's the twist that nobody saw coming. When Standard Oil was broken up, Rockefeller still owned shares in all 34 companies. Standard Oil of New Jersey, Exxon. Standard Oil of New York, Mobil. Standard Oil of California, Chevron. Standard Oil of Indiana, Amoco. Standard Oil of Ohio, Sohio, later bought by BP. Before the breakup, Standard Oil stock was worth $600 per share. After the breakup, the combined value of all 34 companies was over $2,000 per share. Rockefeller's wealth tripled. Why? The breakup forced each company to compete, which drove innovation and efficiency. Breaking one monopoly into 34 companies that still dominated their regional markets wasn't really breaking up the monopoly, it was just reorganizing it. And here's the kicker. Today, most of those 34 companies have merged back together. Exxon plus Mobil equals ExxonMobil, 1999. Chevron absorbed multiple Standard Oil descendants. BP bought Amoco and Sohio. The Standard Oil monopoly that was broken up in 1911 has essentially reconsolidated into ExxonMobil, Chevron, and BP. The system broke itself up to avoid regulation, then quietly put itself back together over 100 years. Tactic number 5, philanthropic influence. But Standard Oil isn't even Rockefeller's most enduring legacy. The real legacy is what he did in 1913. He created the Rockefeller Foundation with an initial gift of $250 million, $7 billion today. On the surface, charity, Rockefeller giving back. But look deeper. The foundation allowed Rockefeller to avoid estate taxes, billions in tax savings, control which universities received funding, which meant control over what was taught and researched, buy legitimacy. The most hated man in America became a beloved philanthropist. The Rockefeller Foundation funded Johns Hopkins, University of Chicago, Rockefeller University, the entire model for modern medical education. And here's what most people don't know. The foundation established a medical education model that emphasized pharmaceutical interventions over holistic care. This isn't conspiracy theory. This is documented history. The foundation shaped American medicine to favor the pharmaceutical model. And pharmaceutical companies, many descendant from Standard Oil's chemical divisions, profited enormously. Modern example? Every billionaire copied this playbook. Bill Gates, $75 billion in the Gates Foundation, shapes WHO policy, influences national governments. Mark Zuckerberg, Chan Zuckerberg Initiative, funds education reform, shapes curriculum. Warren Buffett pledged most wealth to the Gates Foundation. These aren't just charity, they're tax avoidance, plus legacy building, plus policy influence. Rockefeller invented the model. Modern billionaires perfected it. You cannot escape. Here's what makes this terrifying. The system isn't designed to be escaped. It's designed to be invisible until you're already trapped. Let me show you. You need gasoline. ExxonMobil, Standard Oil descendant. Chevron, Standard Oil descendant. BP, bought Standard Oil companies. Shell uses the same methods. You're not choosing, you're selecting between branches of the same tree. You need to buy products. Amazon, vertical integration plus horizontal consolidation. Walmart must match Amazon's scale or die. Target, same. You need internet search. Google has 92% market share, higher than Standard Oil's peak of 91%. But Google isn't considered a monopoly because it's free. You pay with data instead of money. Rockefeller would have loved this innovation, a monopoly so complete that users don't even realize they're paying. You need social media. Facebook, 3 billion users. Instagram, also Facebook. WhatsApp, also Facebook. You're not choosing platforms, you're choosing which meta property to use. You need healthcare. You see a doctor trained in a system shaped by Rockefeller Foundation grants. You receive pharmaceuticals developed by companies using patents and regulations pioneered by Standard Oil's chemical divisions. You pay insurance companies using Rockefeller's corporate structures. Every step, extraction. Every choice, an illusion. The wealth transfer. The average American spends $4,000 a year on gasoline, $3,000 a year on Amazon, $5,000 a year on healthcare beyond insurance, $1,200 a year on internet and tech services. Total, $13,200 per year. Over a lifetime, $660,000 of wealth transfer. Not to innovative startups, not to small businesses, to monopolistic corporations using 150-year-old tactics to eliminate competition and extract maximum profit. And you cannot escape it. This is Rockefeller's ultimate achievement.